back in Las Vegas, and you're gonna wanna meet my buddy Scotty Ray, because if you're trying to survive the apocalypse, you want him as your friend. He's got this real-life Mad Max V12 Detroit diesel rat truck that gives birth to a motorcycle. Yeah, Scotty Ray.
Maybe dear. Good to see ya.
You're awesome. This thing is wonky. I love it. You're crazy, dude.
Thanks, I believe it.
But what is it? It's like a mishmash of all these things.
Well, that's what I usually say. You know, I tell everybody that, you know, a true rat rod builder knows what it takes to make it, makes it, but just doesn't use what it takes. And that's kind of where this comes from. It's a 1948 COE I got from a really good friend of the family that was going to be a hot rod truck, you know, with a mid-engine and stuff. And I was looking for one that I was going to do was actually I was going to start with a Corvair pickup and try to put a big engine in the Mac, because my theme was kind of starting from the old Rat Fink models where they had a big shifter sticking out in the hand and they were squashed and fat and motors up. And that was my dream of something big in the back and something to go with the front. I'm a diesel mechanic, so I've always been a Detroit guy. And that's kind of what made me think of, you know, bigger's better, of course. You know, why have, you know, 6 cylinders when you can have 12? So initially it just starts from the beginning and you just make it happen, you know. Then initially when I kept working on the frame, I started adding and subtracting and it started coming together, you know. I mean, initially it's just one start from the other part, you know, just by going through it, you know, got to work through it. The biggest surprise is, well, with the engine being in the back, you know, I needed something to put in the front. You know?
What the heck? Crazy. What the heck?
Turn these, that's where it holds it in there. And then you
You've
just
got tow hooks to hold those in.
roll
Oh
it
my
in.
gosh. Oh my gosh. Well, it's a very modified Trail 90.
Yes, this is more my rat bike.
You have a tractor seat on there.
Yeah. High performance exhaust, suicide shift. Just the handlebars, ready to go. Once you get in, this is just an automatic.
Okay.
You'll be in there, you'll just sit there, and it's gonna go so slow, it's pitiful.
Okay.
Put your feet
So
up
you
there.
would put your feet right here.
That's it.
What's this doodad, a brake?
Yeah.
Ah. Okay, so you can put these wherever you want.
Right. and then
Look
just
at
tighten
that.
it down. This is the old Freon tank, and I cut. This is the center of the tank from the motorcycle. This is the factory gas cap that came on the bike, and I just cut it and put it in here.
Okay. You have a helmet?
Yeah.
This is. Oh yeah. This
Ready?
will protect me.
Yeah. You'll be at such a high rate of speed, you probably could jump off, take it off, and then hit the ground, put it back on.
How come your throttle is a little tight?
Now that you're done with your joyride, considering this is what goes in here, I'll show you what this is all about.
All right.
Well, I started out, the truck had Mustang 2 front suspension in it. And initially, you know, it was really light duty. I put that 4,000 pound motor in the back on this truck and it just squatted the front end like you see it right now without no air in it. So I had to go out and buy an 81 Chevy pickup. Good thing I did, I ended up using the Hydrovac, which sits way back there. And then the front end and all suspension so I could put the bags on here. And then it gave me bigger brakes, bigger wheels and tires and everything, so it would really support that weight of that engine.
You had to hollow this whole center belly out.
That's where I had to make it fit where
Yeah.
you could put the motorcycle in. And it's kind of like an engine cover, you know.
Yeah,
gotta
yeah.
make it. Well, they decided actually, if you look at that really close, kind of hard to tell from here, that's a locker,
Really?
like a school locker. Yep. And then it
I
has
see it now. That's why the louvers are there.
yeah.
Oh
Where
my
you used to look in
gosh,
the
for
top.
stinky gym clothes to air out.
Yeah.
Gee.
And then I belong in the Model T Club here in Vegas and stuff. And one of the guys there had these trick headlights, antique headlights. He goes, they're off an old car. And I started looking at them and said, oh, those would be nice on the front. These are off a 1927 Stutz Bearcat.
Wow.
And initially, without modifying them, I put some late model bulbs in there, hooked them up, and they kind of look like cigarette lighters out in the front with lines in them, you know. That's what the old days, you had a car that only went 25 miles an hour, so you didn't need a whole bunch of light.
So your beams are not like way
Yeah,
over
they're not
there.
flamethrowers. That's what these do.
You've got this weird juxtaposition with like super old headlights and like
Then
new modern
sky-
LED
new
stuff.
sky. This is like out of the old hospitals. That's where they used to give you air.
You have cabinet knobs in places where there is no cabinet. This is
Yeah, they're the plug holes. That's what this does too. Turns on the hot water.
Plug holes.
Plug holes.
Larry
Is the skull on the top. That was from another rat rodder to me. Gave me something off of his car so I could have it on this one. When I got the cab, I didn't have many pieces, parts, just the old shell of the cab and stuff. And it didn't have no door handles or latches or nothing. So actually this is part of the ambience of my father. That's actually a wheelbarrow handle. When we get inside here, I'll show you what I sit in. Besides that, I, didn't have no parts to make the door work, so I figured I'd just make a gull wing.
Yeah.
Something else to be different.
Gull wings are big bucks, man.
Yeah.
This is
Me and the hardware store around the corner were friends for a while until I figured this out.
if you're robbing banks, this is gonna take a while to
Yeah,
get in.
well, that's why I left the sunroof in it so I could get in and out easy enough in case something happened, My father was a brick mason here in Vegas. And I said, everybody loves to sit in wheelbarrows, so I have two of these, but I decided that one of the worst ones, I'd make a seat out of it. I modified it and cut it so I could put it in here, and then that's just kind of homage to him,
This is a wheelbarrow.
It's a wheelbarrow bucket, yeah.
Did you sew this
My
seat
wife
cover?
took my old jeans that I had. My wife took my old jeans and sewed them together and made both of these and put it over some foam.
Yeah.
The helmet right there is what he wore since before I was born until the day he died. Always in the summer, because the heat was so bad around here. We go out, get no antique car parts and stuff. He'd be wearing that helmet. Craig Power Play 8-track. That's how we rock and roll in here. Supertramp. So that was an old dune buggy wheel I had with Ben on the one side, and I decided I'd just
And then you put some like
fuel
electric
line.
fuel line. And you
Fuel
cut
line.
it down.
Split it down the middle, put it around the outside.
You have a lot of levers. What are you doing here?
Well, when it first started,
What's going on in there?
yeah, that big pipe wrench when I first started
Gosh.
was a shifter. And that's what all these wrenches are. That's park, neutral, reverse, and I could do it. But the Turbo 400 I found out without vacuum because it's running by that Detroit. It didn't want to shift. Didn't want to go back to first gear, and it kind of would go up some. So I put these other wrenches in the front right here so I could shift it manually.
So you have a manual valve body,
No,
or you just opt
I
to
just
shift
shift
it?
it
So does
manually.
it go into drive, or is there not a drive?
By hand.
Okay.
You have to shift it by hand.
You'll have to show me that.
Yeah,
really-
it don't shift by itself. You have to shift it, and
Whoa,
then downshift
Wonky.
it too. It's pretty good.
You made all these
I
hinges
made everything
and
to make that
figured
work,
out, figured out how to make this
It took
thing
me some
work.
hours. Like I said, me and the hardware store around the corner took some while to get it. And those two house switches in the front, it could be different. Those are what turn on the headlights.
Oh my gosh, you literally have
House switches that turn on the headlights.
house switches. You've got your giant 12-cylinder Detroit diesel sitting on top of the
Sits
transmission.
over the transmission and
And-
drives it off the front.
And there's no like shafts connecting.
No.
What is this?
It's all about the chain. Double roller chain.
What are you talking about? Good grief.
And actually, if you look at it, that top sprocket is twice as big as the bottom sprocket. That gives you overdrive.
Ah.
So my 2,200 RPMs I get in my engine, I lie to the transmission and get 44 at the transmission
2-to-1
overdrive.
overdrive.
And so that makes me get about 62 miles an hour out of this truck instead of about 47. And my guy that I go to, because I work on all this equipment, I go, I need something pretty tough to go in there. He goes, well, we got this double roller chain, we could use this, we could use that. And then I bought the sprockets and I had the machine shop adapt it and make it go to the front of it. And next thing you know, it drives the truck.
Dude,
And then when the chain wears, it breaks in, I just shim the motor up a little bit because it just sits on the top.
when the
Speaking
chain
of the-
stretches, you just lift the.
I just lift the engine up.
What is that?
That's oil can to oil the chain. Fill the little oiler I got right here. That's the antique oiler my dad had in some of his stuff. I just flip the little handle right here, and as I drive it down the road, it drips on the chain kind of process and keeps the chain going. So I got me a Turbo 400, which came out of that truck I bought. Well, I took a Chevy crankshaft, cut it off at the last journal, machined out the middle of that crankshaft, pressed that 1.5-inch shaft right in there, and then I took a 4-bolt flange bearing, mounted it on that piece of steel plate between the two bell housings, and I put a a Chevy flex plate, which runs through the converter on the back of that Chevy crankshaft, and then I just shim that flange bearing in and out so it just imitates a motor. That's how the drive is. Because if I was to put that transmission in back of the engine, you imagine how long this thing would be then?
What the heck does this sound like?
Okay, well, that's what everybody says when I have it at the shows. You know, I probably go through more fuel making it run than I do.
It rattles your eardrums when you're standing this close.
That's what everybody loves to hear. You know, they get excited about 4-inch zoomies, you know, especially when it's 12V71. So each cylinder has 71 cubic inches.
It's a 71 series. This thing would have been from what, the early 70s or something?
Early 70s, yeah. Looking for an engine on YouTube video, there's this guy standing in a dirt floor lot revving this engine up in Pennsylvania. And the next thing you know, I'm on the phone going, I want to buy that motor. He goes, well, I'll sell it $49.95, $500 ship it to Vegas, and I'll pay half a shipping. I said, done.
What?
So 2 weeks later, it's sitting in my shop, and 2 weeks later, it's sitting in that truck.
It wasn't from a vehicle. It was sitting.
It sits in a stand.
On the ground.
On the ground, and I think it had a huge water pump. It was either forestry or irrigation, because Pennsylvania, they do a lot of that stuff. Especially with having an air compressor on the back, then that makes gate valves work, air over valves that would direct the water flow so they could run it. So that's my best guess. You know, I have no idea because he didn't tell me what it was out of, but then I didn't care because I knew it was going in, that's for sure. So, you know, I decided that that's what I would make it. Everybody says, well, got 2 blowers on. I go, yep, got 2 blowers. That's what they use for racing.
671 blowers.
671 blowers.
Or 871 blowers would have been coming off of an 8-cylinder.
That's right. Yep.
Right. So now that you have 12 cylinders,
there's 2.
You have 2 6. I always wondered, do they put a giant? Is there such thing as a 1271? No, it's 2 671s.
Right.
Why do you need blowers on this?
Well, this is actually a 2-stroke engine. It's like a king-size motorcycle engine, has ports in the liner, and initially when the piston passes the ports, the blowers are just delivering air into the cylinder. It just has a common valley that the air is pressurized in, and then when the piston comes up and passes the port, the exhaust valves stay open until the piston passes and closes, and then they close. That's what makes it naturally aspirated, because the air just kind of scavenged out and runs down, because it's blowing air in there when it's passing it and coming back up. That's how they run so efficient, because they're 2-stroke.
Why do you have kegs down here?
Well, the first one I thought when I first built it, I could make it an air tank. Well, it didn't make it.
For the air suspension.
Yes. It didn't make it to the gate before it blew out. Because when you're thinking about drinking, that little plastic pump used to only put 3 to 5 pounds. It didn't take no 30, 40 pounds. You know, it's supposed to have 120 in the system, but it probably didn't even take 20 before it blew out. Blew it out, hit the fender, blam. And then this one here, it's got batteries in it.
Yes.
That's what keeps the charge up. And I've had this shoot since I was a little.
This keg container you've had.
Yeah, I've had since I was probably 18 years old.
You know what I like about this, about you, about this whole thing is it reminds me of my dad because he was constantly figuring out how to make something work that shouldn't have worked. And, and I love it. You're just thinking.
That's you make something from nothing. You know, that's all about making something from nothing.
What?
Well,
what is this you have? I don't know what that is.
Detroits have wheat tanks.
Beer bucket or something?
Yeah, it was. All the engine has wheat things, so it leaks. It would have puddles of oil everywhere because the breathers come through.
Catch can for
That's a catch can.
Yeah. Is this a real fire extinguisher?
That was a real fire extinguisher, and I made it into a overflow tank. You know, just to be different. Comes out of the radiator because that's the radiators in the back.
I can see that. The heck, and are these all of your returns?
That's the inlet hoses for the water.
Is this coming in this direction or?
Yeah.
This is a giant radiator. Where did you get that?
It's actually out of a cab over Kenworth because that's why the nozzle's in the middle of the front. You know, for you to open the hood, you know, it'll be right in the front. And then it has AC condenser. And then when I figured out AC condenser, well, hell, I don't have air conditioning, but I sure need a transmission cooler.
You turned that AC condenser into a transmission cooler. Of course you did.
This is all just recycled stuff. You know, being in a construction company, these are all the road signs and stuff. I made it.
Fence posting.
Yeah, put top rail off a fence post. You know, gotta have something to put your ice cooler in and your lounge chairs.
Is it real?
Yeah.
Does it dump?
Yeah. Just have to push it up.
Dude, what do you got?
Yeah,
What do you got
yeah.
going on
But when I
back
built
here?
it, the guy gave me the truck. Actually, gave me a F550 rear end. I said, I'll make that work. You know, I just started building my own Heim joints and building my own links and.
That's what you registered this as, right? It's
says
titled as a
70
F550?
No, it's titled as a F750.
F750. How much torque does this thing have?
Over 1,000 foot-pounds of torque.
You had your airbags, front and rear.
Yeah.
You're dropped down right now. So
Yeah,
ride height,
it's
you're
all
going
right.
to raise it how much?
It goes up about a foot in the rear and 8 inches in the front.
Okay.
Yeah, these are the lights and taillights here first.
Yeah. Off of those acetylene caps. What is the purpose of the ginormous chain?
Well, that's actually to hold my license plate. You know, I had to have something to hold my license plate. The guy that sold me the headlights in the front told me, well, you need that chain. He'd been sitting in his garage probably for 30 years.
To hold the license
Yeah,
plate.
that's right, to hold the license plate.
It's overkill.
Yeah.
Whatever,
You know.
dude. So wonky. Is your fuel tank?
There's a old warehouse next door and stuff, and next thing you know, there's some buses over there. Next thing I know, this tank showed up. One week it was sitting there, next week it's sitting there, third week it was sitting in my yard because I knew I was going to make this into a fuel tank, you know, old propane tank. And then that's kind of what those are for up there, you know.
What are those? What are those? You have two propane tanks up front. Why?
Those are air filters. I cut the bottom out of it so you can
What?
put the air
did
filters
what?
in there.
Yes, you did.
Well, then this is the description tag. You know, this is all the specs and everything on the engine. So when people ask me about it, I go over and tell them what it is. I mean, it's 425 horse, and they can just look at that and they can see what
over
it came out
1,000
after.
foot-pounds of torque.
852 cubic inches.
I actually brought with me one of my favorite things ever, and that is gallons and gallons of diesel oil.
There you go.
You want to do an oil change?
Yes, let's do it.
Let's throw some Amsoil on this baby.
Good. That'd be great.
How far am I going here? It's dark under here.
See that tube sticking down with a cap on it? And just set it down on the ground right there.
Okay.
And take that
This is a
tube and
drain.
slide it on there.
Slide it on that. Got it. And then this ball valve.
Yep. Gotta make sure
Okay.
that points down in
Point
the
it down,
bottom.
and then
Okay.
just turn this ball valve, right?
Pull that ball valve up. Oil's gonna come
Up.
out.
Or down. Oh, down.
Some black oil. Been in there a while.
Yeah, you're due for a change. Well, we're gonna put some full synthetic in here.
You'll love it. It's gonna be good.
Dude, I used to use it in my rock crawler. Punishing that little buggy. And it never let me down. I bet this thing's gonna be so happy.
Oh yeah.
Some
Fresh
nice
oil. Boy, what's it gonna act
fresh
like?
oil.
It'll even rev faster. There you go. Pour
This
it over
is
the
it,
side.
baby.
Feed it.
Feed it. Put that back in there. Dude, it's awesome. Let's rock this bad boy.
All right.
What do we do here?
Well, first we got to start it up, but before you can start it up, you have to turn the fuel shutoff off.
So I have to turn it on.
You have
I'm
to
gonna
shut it
off.
off.
I'm gonna turn it on.
Right, then so you can turn it on.
All right. Where's that?
Flip the lever right there. The
This guy?
old parking brake.
Push it
Forklift
back?
Parking brake. Yep.
Holy cow. Okay.
Okay, now you're ready. Push that button right there.
Oh my goodness. All right. You have a lot of levers. What am I
Okay.
doing?
Shifter's right here.
Okay, so
Pull
we're in
back all
park.
the way. Okay, we're in park now.
It's in
all the way
park.
down, all the way down. Put on the brake.
My foot's on the brake.
Pull it all the way back
the way
towards
back.
you.
That's in.
That's
that's
first
in
gear.
first.
That's first
And
gear.
then just a little click, second, third.
Yep.
That's it. So, am I gonna know when to shift?
When you're ready,
Am I shifting?
go ahead. Just one click. That's it.
Was that second?
Now throttle it.
Throttle it?
No, throttle. Don't shift it. Just give it gas.
I can't hear you.
Got to give it a little more gas and it'll shift. Don't shift it. It'll shift. Throttle it. Give it a little more gas. No.
Oh, what was that?
That was you putting it in reverse. Don't touch it until it shifts.
I can't hear it.
Yes,
Shifting.
that's it. It hasn't shifted yet. That's why you had to give it more throttle. So you're back in first
So it
gear.
was stuck in first.
You stay in first until you throttle it up and then it'll shift.
Why did it jump that many gears?
You pushed it. You shifted it.
I moved it that far.
Because that's how close it is. Give it some gas.
Watch. Hey, go ahead, you do it.
Now gas it. Give it some than the rest of the truck does.
Good grief. Yeah, you can feel.
That's what you get for 425 horse. Pretty smooth.
Very smooth. Yeah, this motor would just run forever.
Run forever.
We have so many rat rods in Vegas.
Yeah.
We're like a rat rod capital, I think. Man, they're just everywhere.
Everybody likes to be different.
I love it. It looks so good cruising through the desert. It's so Mad Max.
Yeah.
This is so cool. I seriously feel like I'm like in Australia on a movie set or something. This is insane. So weird.
Probably the biggest truck you've ever driven.
What?
Probably the biggest truck you've ever driven.
I used to drive a monster truck.
Probably burned a little oil off it. Ain't been on a hill ever.
What?
Never been on a hill. Probably warming it up a little bit.
This is a lot of weight. It's good. We're cleaning it out. This is so much fun. Can't believe you're letting me drive this. Thank you.
Strange trip you're on.
Very cool. Dude.
There you go.
We are filthy.
Yay. Well, that's what it happens when you're around a truck like this. It's old and beat up and, blows a little oil on the way up and get a little better on the way down,
You're so cool. I thank you so much for letting me drive this. I appreciate
First
it.
for everything.
I can't believe it was the first time you had it under load and you trusted me. It was great. It's awesome. All right, leave us a comment. Let YouTube know how you feel by subscribing and sharing this with your friends. We will catch you guys next time. This show is a ton of hours to produce and we could use your support. Go to patreon.com/Nicole Johnson's Detour or check out our merchandise, NicoleJohnsonsDetour.com. We're back in Las Vegas and we'll do that again. Do you need to do this? Okay, you gotta not turn that way. You see this? You see those people? I can't. You went like this? Get back there and do it again. Come here, come here. Look at us together.
Fake. Might have fake.
These two are.
Yeah.
I broke them as a kid.